Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Park Live as the Grecians take on Salford City here at the park for the very first time. Coming up on today's show, we're here from the manager Matt Taylor, left back Jack Sparks, and Jed Penberthy gives us his lowdown on the Ammies. But first, let's take a look back at Tuesday's unique double-header. City were in action at Oldham, while the youth team were in action here at the park against Leicester City.
Ball in field to Jake Taylor, the Exeter skipper, and Jay gets the cross-come shot in. And he just got caught under the... Work this one short, and Adams gets the cross in, and it's a stooping header, which somehow finds its way past Jökull Andersson in the Exeter goal. On the stroke of half-time, they have a lucky break there, and it's opened up for Caprice to shoot. And it is only just wide. Has made the run into the box, it's cut back, and they're having a go from distance again. Jay, he lays the ball back. In turn, it's laid off on the edge of the box for the shot to come in. Similar routine again. Adams gets it across. It's headed away to the edge of the box. The volley, though, is in. What a finish from Alfie McCalmont. Back and help out defensively and get it clear, but they come again, Exeter. And this time the cross is hung up, and it is turned in. And they are back in the game. Nicoletti goes down, no free kick given. And Archie Collins gets the cross in, and it's a decent header. What a save! It's off the post. And Jay's rebound is somehow cleared as well. Yes, well dealt with in the end. And the referee blows his whistle. It is the first victory.
Here is the manager Matt Taylor now with his thoughts as Salford make their first ever trip to the park.
We played some great football on Tuesday night and dominated that game, but came away with nothing. So this weekend we might play poorly, but we might take a scrappy 1-0 where the goal goes in off someone's backside. That's how quickly football can change. But we really believe in what this group of players can and can't do.
We're facing a Salford side going through a period of transition, having appointed Gary Bowyer in the week. Were you surprised to see Richie Wellens go?
Yeah, I was surprised. Surprised because as a manager, you need time. You need time to affect a group of players. I think he's probably only had the one transfer window where they weren't overly active, certainly compared in terms of their recent history with bringing players in. And you thought he'd give them success or get them to a successful position over a period of time, whether it was this season or next season. So it's always a surprise where I'm not sure how long he was in your job, maybe 3 or 4 months. That's not a huge amount of time at all to implement your ideas and to change the personnel. But as always, we can't affect that. A new manager's coming this week. He'll have 4 or 5 days to work with that group of players. They had no game on Tuesday. I know he was in the stands on Tuesday night watching us. So he'll have seen a good performance, but he'll also have seen us get beaten. So hopefully he was impressed with certain aspects of our play. But obviously he'll have picked up bits and pieces from that game. I can't control what Salford are going to do this weekend in relation to their formation, their personnel. And it's a difficult one to prepare for in relation to that when a new manager comes in. But we know that's a good group of players for this level. I don't think anyone can tell me that's not an outstanding group of players for League Two level. But as always, it's all about us. And I'll be expecting not a reaction to the last 3 games, but certainly a performance which says we want to pick up the points this weekend.
It's now time for our new regular contributor, Jed Penberthy, who's giving us the lowdown on Salford City. Heaven knows what puns he's got for us this week.
There are still plenty of points to play for this season for Exeter City, and the next hurdle is that of Salford City, who make their first ever trip to St James's Park. Formed in 1940 as Salford Central, the club renamed after they merged with Anson Villa in 1980 to become Salford FC. In 1990 they changed their name to Salford City, and that's where we see them today. The unusual nickname the Ammies comes from yet another former name that the club used to have, and that was Salford Amateurs. The city of Salford itself is a metropolitan borough on the suburbs of Greater Manchester, with its name adopted from the largest town there. Salford grew as a result of the Industrial Revolution, where it was part of the massive textile industry of Manchester. So we're hoping this weekend they don't pull the wool over our eyes with any tactics, cotton on to our tactics, or play any silky football. That's the worst one yet. Nowadays, Salford is the media central of the UK, with the BBC amongst other major broadcasting corporations on the Salford Quays. Very much a family-run club in true community spirit. Salford were taken over by members of another local football club that were just across the river. The class of 92 have made rapid progress in their project, with 4 promotions in 6 seasons as Salford elevated from the Northern Premier League now into League 2 and are pushing for a League 1 place. That said, they go into Saturday's fixture 9th in the table, just a couple of points behind Exeter City, but even 9th is still not enough for the Neville brothers and co. Gary Bowyer is Salford's 3rd manager of the season after Graham Alexander started the campaign and Richie Wellens departed just a week ago. The 49-year-old comes into the Peninsula Stadium just weeks after Wellens was able to win the Papa John's Trophy with the Ammies. Bowyer does come into the job with significant managerial experience at Blackburn and Blackpool amongst others. Through injury, his playing career was cut short, but he did have spells at Hereford, Nottingham Forest and Rotherham United during his career, and he's brought that Football League experience into his managerial style. Bowyer was manager of Blackpool in 2017 when they got promoted via the League 2 playoffs, but the less said of that, the better. 5 times bigger than it was just 6 years ago, the Peninsula Stadium is the home of Salford City. More lane between you and me. The capacity grew from a humble 1,600 when they were playing in the Northern Premier League, but it now sits at 5,108. It's quite a nifty modern ground. In October 2017, Sir Alex Ferguson opened the new redevelopments at the Peninsula Stadium, now sponsored, and in 2019 the first C-Team International was played there between England and Wales. City took nearly 700 fans when we went there last season, but Salford City fans are going to have to wait for their first visit to SJP. Salford's top scorer Ian Henderson is this week's one to watch. He's netted 13 goals in all competitions this season and is leading the line for the Ammies. The veteran striker began his career at Norwich City and has played for a host of clubs during his long career. In the early 2000s he moved to Northampton, but in 2009 he made his most interesting transfer to date, moving to Turkey and Ankara Gücü in the Turkish Super League. That said, his stay in Ankara only lasted 6 months before he moved back to Colchester at the end of the season. Henson hasn't scored in the last 5 games, but he's already netted against Exeter this season, scoring Salford's very first goal of the campaign in the 2-2 draw at the Peninsula Stadium earlier in August. And finally, Salford won the first major trophy as a Football League club when they beat Portsmouth on penalties to pick up the Papa John's Trophy in the process. Rumour has it they asked for pepperoni, pineapple and prawns on top of their pizza as they placed themselves on the podium to pick up the Pizza Cup. Save a slice for me, lads.
Having scored his first league goal at Scunthorpe United a few weeks ago, Jack Sparks is the latest one of our own to establish himself in the Grecian side this season. We caught up with him in the week to find out just how his season is going.
You know, the push for the top 7 very much still on, despite 3 defeats. You know, Salford a couple of points behind us. We're 4 off the playoffs. A win on Saturday could be huge for us.
Yeah, I think, you know, there's no hiding that it's such a big game Saturday. We got the chance to close in on Newport and, you know, put Salford a few points below us. So, yeah, I think the game's big, but we've just got to focus on ourselves and do what we usually do. That's score goals, be confident, pass the ball, and yeah, hopefully we bring our best, and that'll be enough.
We've seen, plenty of different combinations down the two wings this season. Playing more of a left wing back position on Tuesday night. I mean, when you get forward, you seem to just have your eye on the goal. You can see, you don't mind a shot from distance, and when you're swinging in the free kicks as well.
Yeah, I don't mind that. That's my game. Putting crosses in the box, trying to set up other people. If I get a chance, I'll definitely have a pop. So yeah, I think I've just got to keep doing them things, and hopefully the goals and assists will come, and other players can do well off the back of it.
Salford have never played here at the park, with the first ever league meeting last season called off when the coronavirus pandemic hit the country. So, for a previous encounter, we head back to last season's encounter at the Peninsula Stadium when Ryan Bowman scored the only goal in a 1-0 win. This week on Park Life, we have collaborated with Salford City for their Matchday live show and, of course, Park Life. Gary Neville wasn't available to talk about this week's game, so we got the next best thing. Here is Salford's Matchday presenter, Zarah Connolly.
Zarah, thanks for coming on Park Life, live, kind of, from Salford City's Peninsula Stadium. I know it's a green screen, but we don't need to know that, do we?
Yeah, they don't need to know.
Been an interesting week up at Salford with the change of manager. I presume you've met Gary Bowyer and things. How is he? And obviously, you're looking forward to working with him.
It's always fun at Salford because you never know what's going to be around the corner. Gary Bowyer is really lovely, proper gentleman. He's settled in straight away, got to know the lads as well, just speaking to them as individuals as well as in a group. So that's kind of nice to see that even so late in the season, it's kind of like he's doing a pre-season thing, getting to know them. So it's exciting to see what will happen on Saturday.
And obviously, he was at our game on Tuesday night. He was sat just in front of the press box at Oldham in front of us. Obviously, he's got experience in this league before with Blackpool. But season as a whole, it's as expected, not as expected. What, are you there and thereabouts where you thought you might be?
I'd probably say that for me, I expected us to be fighting for playoffs as always. I think with the way the season's gone, it's something that I didn't expect. I always expected with Salford. But it's something that I think the lads will, it's kind of like that last push, that desire and the buzz around the squad at the minute. That's going to really push us on through to the end of the season.
Obviously, the Peninsula Stadium has been a bit of a fortress, hasn't it? I mean, unbeaten so far. God, it seems like years ago when we went there on the opening day. But away form, it seems that you've struggled. I mean, why do you think you've been so strong at home but not as good away from home?
I don't know if it's more about the concentration, really. Last season, the away form was one of the best. And now this season, it's the home form. I think it switches on the different style of play that you've got. You get to know your pitch inside out. We've been training at the Peninsula Stadium in bits and bobs too. So I don't know if it's more familiar environment in comparisons to what we have done previously. And this season in League Two, away at all different grounds, teams are coming out of nowhere. The teams that were lower in the table last year are suddenly being those teams that you're actually in fear of. And the big guns are the ones that actually are a bit not as what you would expect. So it's kind of interesting to see how this league is going to pan out, and you can't really call it no matter who's in the table.
And obviously, this is going to be Salford's first ever visit to Exeter. Obviously, 2 days after the season was called off was when Salford were meant to make their first visit down. I know you're not travelling down, but obviously, I think Ryan and Will are coming. I think it's going to be a new ground for them, I expect.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's a shame that with COVID and all the different policies, we all can't be there together, because it's something that I think as Salford we admire with Exeter. It's got a really nice setup. They've got such a close relationship with fans, and it's kind of nice to see it. And it's a shame that fans can't be there, because I know that Salford fans would want to tick that ground off their list too. But hopefully both teams can put on a good show for everyone at home.
I think we can both probably agree at the moment that neither of us are in the form that we'd want to be in. We've lost our last three. I think 1 win and 8 for yourselves. Something's got to give on Saturday, hasn't it? I think both sides are going to be really, really eager for a win, especially given that they're both just outside the playoffs and next to each other in the table.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more. I think we'll see which side has the most fire in the bellies on Saturday, because they'll both be wanting the same things. I'd say that Salford have that edge with a manager change. There's that excitement in them, and they're also going to want to prove to the new gaffer what they actually have up their sleeves. So there's a lot more on the plate for the Salford lads in comparison, because Exeter will, although they haven't been in form, it's kind of just bouncing back after the Oldham game, whereas this one's thinking, oh, please get me in the starting lineup for the rest of the season. So it's a little bit different, but definitely all to play for between them both.
And how's Salford been playing mainly defensively when they've been up against it? Because Tuesday night at Oldham, we had 25 shots. We somehow didn't get anything from that game, the amount of chances we had. If they were to be bombarded with chances on Saturday by us, how do you think they'd cope?
I think we'd cope very well, touch wood. Defensively, I think we've been very good. We've been unfortunate when we've conceded. It's been an unlucky thing rather than not being solid enough. We've got players like Ash Eastham, our captain, who's been one of the main people who's the reason that we're solid. You've got Tom Clark. You've got all these players that have that defensive nature built inside them, which is obviously different when we want to play that attacking style of football. So it's nice to have that balance where the players in front know that they can be as creative as possible, and they know that they've got that back line to rely on no matter what. You can see them saying a lot of language that, dare I say it, whenever it does go back to them, but they're ready and prepared at all times. And Václav Hladký as well, our keeper, he's been probably the main reason why we haven't conceded this much this season. He's been our star man at the back. The way that he's moulded into that trust, that team chemistry with that back line, I think that's something that we have over any other team in the league.
I seem to remember, even on the opening day when we drew 2-2, I think he seemed to have a really good game there as well. I've noticed that I think it's one of the best defensive records in the league at the moment. Is that still correct?
Yeah, that's still correct. Hopefully it's still correct on Saturday. Making me on edge here, Craig.
Hopefully not. I'll push you then, finally. Score prediction, what are you going for? You can be honest. I know the Exeter fans will be watching this, but from a Salford perspective, you can be as honest as you like.
From a Salford perspective, I think it's going to be 2-1 to Salford. I think as well, probably you'll see a lot from Manny Zarah. I think he'll be the one that could come out of the woodwork and score. So I'm excited to see it. We have some of our fans that keep predicting Baz Salford-Ladke's going to score a bicycle kick each week. So I mean, if they do that at Exeter, then I'm all for it.
You can do it any other week, but please not on Saturday. Zarah, thank you so much for joining us. We always enjoy getting other people's media on the show, and it's good to have the league's best, of course.
Oh, thank you. It's nice to be with the league's best.
It has, of course, been a season like no other, which began all the way back in September. That seems like a lifetime ago now, but we opened with a 2-2 draw at Salford. Let's take a reminder of how that one went. This week's man on the spot answering your questions was defender Piers Sreeni. And if you didn't already know, he's quite a character. Here he is answering just a few.
As always, we've had lots of questions from fans this week. For some reason, we've had a number of hair-related questions. But with the current state of my lockdown I'm going to swerve those. So my apologies to Nicky Law and others who have sent those in. But pressing on, the legendary Tom Vickery, he says, we've seen the coverage. Now it's time to hear your thoughts. Please, Piers, can you tell us about your right peg shot that smashed your own car window?
There's not much to say, really. Marcus Flitcroft, the analysis fella, records every day, records the training sessions, and the ball fell to me. Fancied myself from about 20 yards. Took a little bobble. Lovely strike. And it was just heading towards the car park and just smashed me windscreen. And Steve Hale, who was the goalkeeping coach last year, kind of said, listen, Swains, you got to smashing your own windscreen. And I thought he was winding me up. And walked over, and I couldn't believe it. It was the whole windscreen just had a massive crack down the middle of it, and thankfully I had windscreen cover, so it didn't cost me too much. So it was a bit crazy. It kind of it went a bit viral on Twitter and Instagram and stuff, and had a lot of views. So it was, looking back at it now, it was absolutely hilarious. But at the time, I was gutted.
But it will give us a chance to run the VT again, and it's always the bobble. It's always the bobble, isn't it?
It was a bobble. It was. I blame Clive and Chaz, the groundsman. There shouldn't have been a bobble there in the first place, so it's their fault.
100%. We'll put that to them. We'll put that right. Now moving on, Maguire 9859. Interesting question. He says, did you try or play any Irish sports growing up?
Yeah. Listen, football wasn't my first sport. I played hurling and Gaelic football from the age of 5, and then I had to make a decision. I think it was about 14. I was playing at a really good level in Dublin, and there was a bit of interest from trials across the water in the UK. So I kind of had to hit the hurling and Gaelic football on the head, and kind of focus on football. Listen, I had a little dabble here and there when I wasn't supposed to, for kind of cup finals for hurling and Gaelic and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I still love hurling and Gaelic football, and unfortunately, you can't make a living from either of them. So, I kind of had to get the head down and concentrate on football.
Fair play. Hurling's loss was football.
That's it. Yeah.
On the football front, Jacob has asked, who's the hardest player you've ever had to defend against?
The two. The two that always stand out, we played West Brom FA Cup game a few years ago, and played against James McLean, and when I played right back at the time, that was a difficult day. They were a Premier League side at the time, and they had a lot of good players, like Gareth Barry and Solomon Rondon and Kieran Gibbs and Hal Robson Canoe and stuff, so they had a really good team. Then we played Charlton at home in, I think it must have been the League Cup. And Carl Ahern Grant played wide left, and we had a couple of lads that knew him, and they were saying to me that he used to sprint for like GB when he was younger. So my alarm bell started ringing. I was like, oh, here we go. Like, I'm in for a hell of an evening here. So it was, honestly, I think I tried to leave one on him early doors, and he just skipped by me and he blew me away. So that was not easy that night. So
playing against the rapid players is one thing, but playing against a former sprinter, that almost seems unfair.
Yeah, it is. It should be illegal. You shouldn't be allowed to be a former sprinter playing football against the likes of me. So it wasn't fun.
Fair play to you. Fair play to that. Sam ECFC 21, he asked, who is the most serious in the dressing room?
The most serious? Jesus Christ. There's a young lad called Czech Diabate. I don't think I've seen the fella smile since he's come into the first team fold. When he's training, he doesn't smile. When he's walking by you, doesn't smile. The only time he smiles is when he's eating food, or his food's cooking in the microwave, or else there's cakes or there's brownies for people's birthdays. That's the only time I ever see him smile. Don't see him smile any other time.
That's the focus, surely. That's what it's
Probably.
got to be there. Andy Madge asked, what's the best goal you scored? I've got one in mind. I'm interested to see if it's the same. But yeah, what's the best goal you scored?
The only half decent goal that I've scored for Exeter was the one I won at home to Cheltenham. I think Dean Moxey put a ball into the box. I don't know why I'm trying to butter up here that I don't remember exactly the way it was. Dino put a ball in the box. The ball got headed. I was about 20 yards out on the side winding volley, and hit the side net in the bottom corner. And listen, that was nice. I knew it was in the minute I hit it, and it's just a pity about the celebration. I kind of just got excited, got a bit carried away, and done the arse slide. So yeah, I need to work on celebrations.
The Ammies had midweek off, but they were in action last weekend as they were beaten 2-0 by Cheltenham Town at the Johnny Rock Stadium. That was the end of the road for Richie Wellens as manager of Salford City, but it's likely a new manager will be in place for the game on Saturday. Let's take a look back at last weekend's highlights.
Following your heart, in spirit, in soul. You make every tackle, score every goal. You're part of it, wherever you are in the world. From the first minute until the last kick. Victories, heartbreaks. You're part of the fabric, the passion, devotion, supercharging emotion. For you, there is only one. Abiding loyalty, togetherness that is second to none. Follow every kick, every tackle, every goal. With access to live stream games and matchday commentary, with coverage spanning the globe. Behind the scene content, newsletters and match highlights. There is no better way for you to get closer to your club. And with iFollow sales supporting them, there's no better way to show your love. When you can't be there with iFollow.
Thank you so much for joining us on Park Live for this week. That is all we have time for. Remember, you can watch Saturday's game with a match pass on iFollow for just £10 from the comfort of your sofa. We'll have all the reaction from the game post-match with Matt and one of the players, and you can read the match report online as well. Follow the game on social media if you're not watching on iFollow. Stay home, stay safe, and up the city!